Hello and welcome to Dell's Gaming, and this is From the Depths in the Imperium Age of Sails version, and I'm going to be building a sailing ship again today. I'm going to have some more modern ships being built, but with a few little HE issues, which in the latest videos we were talking about. I can't do the testing of the missiles that I would like because I think they're a little anemic at the moment to do justice to the builds that I want to build. So what I'm going to do in this little episode is add a ship to the Continental Navy. So in the background we have what I'm calling the USS Raleigh on this particular one, which is the 36 gun frigate for the Continental Navy, but we need something with a little bit more oomph, shall we say, just to take on some of the larger ships we may come across. And obviously we're going to have to adapt the ships as we come across new ones. And what I thought I would start making is basically a ship of the line. So we'll obviously start with a new vehicle, and we'll do a little bit of a time lapse of possibly what I'm going to start on this. But basically, in the Continental Navy, in about 1776, the Continental Congress, they authorised the build of, there was 3 74 gun ships of the line. So these were intended to be, well, main warships, whereas most of the other ships they'd already had were frigates, merchantmen, etc., which were more commerce raiders and supply raiders rather than being able to take on the British ships directly. Although some of them had success, they were generally outgunned. So there was these ships of the line were commissioned. Now the only one that actually got laid down was the USS America, and I'm not sure whether Continental Navy ships actually did use the prefix of USS at that time. I am using it, but that's obviously used when they became the United States Navy, but at this time it was the Continental Navy. Anyway, that's a side factor. I can't find, some places refer them to USS and some do not, but we'll go with it anyway because I think everybody will understand that I'm talking about an American ship. Anyway, the USS America was set down as a twin deck 74 gun sailing ship, and it was a bit of a slow start and initial build, partially due to funds and also getting the right wood to build a substantially larger ship from scratch at the shipyard. But it was finally sort of completed. Now there was at one point a move to reduce it down to be a frigate, to cut it down as I think it was about a 54 gun frigate instead, but they continued with the original plan. Now one thing I found initially difficult was getting good models and pictures of the USS America. Basically it's artist impressions, but I did find a plan as such which I am going by, which will be on the screen now, and that's the basic ship plan I'm going to use for the layout, etc. of the ship. I'm also going to work a little bit on a different slightly hull design for this ship. So that's the plan I'm going to go with. But some of the history of this ship, just to go through that side, apart from the attempt to cut it down to being a frigate instead, it was completed as a 74 gun ship of the line, but it was never actually really commissioned into the Continental Navy. The reason being, it was assigned a captain to complete it and outfit the ship, and that was John Paul Jones, which is a pretty famous US Navy, an American sailor of history. Things about him, they're not necessarily that heroic, let's just say, but we'll leave that aside. He did a lot of things for the Continental Navy, but he was not necessarily that nice a chap. But that's neither here nor there for this particular discussion. But he took over this ship, and because it was a chance to command the biggest ship in the Continental Navy. But the ship was gifted to the French king at that time, because the French had lost one of their ships, the Magnifique, whilst trying to get supplies into Boston. So the ship was given over to the French. So John Paul Jones completed it, and it was then sailed over to Brest in France and given over to the French. Well, the French were happy to get the ship as such, thank you, but they weren't really happy with it. First things was the armaments. The general armament of the USS America was just 18-pounder guns, and then 12-pounder guns and 9-pounders. So at that time, the French equivalent French 74 guns of the line were having 74 and 36 pounders, and the British were having even larger guns, etc. So it was significantly undergunned for the equivalent ship of the line, and I'm going to follow that on in my design, and I'll by keeping the gun small but having lots of them. Also, because it had been effectively built with basically unseasoned timbers, a lot of green wood had been used in the ship, in this building, because it was being rushed and they just didn't have the wood available. So basically within just a couple of years it did suffer from basically rot, dry rot, and yeah, it was condemned by the French naval architects, so it didn't really last too long. The actual name though did continue in the French Navy, because they did build another ship of the line which was a modern French ship, and they did call it America, but it was a much larger and built to French standards. But that's some of the history, and the intention of for this ship is to use it as a ship of the line, of course, and maybe have a few of them. We'll complete the other ones other than just America, and maybe set them up if we get a chance in a little bit of a squadron to go against up against some of the other factions we come across, or this first faction when they send in a slightly larger fleet. So that is, I think, the main gun deck's done. So this bottom one is effectively the main gun deck. I haven't put any watertight compartments in there, but I will fill that in just to make it a little bit more waterproof. And I've put a 571 mil cram cannon in there, so that's sort of representing the 18-pounders. Obviously, the gun sizes we're way out from the depths compared to other reality, but they'll do. And then the upper deck, which is effectively a sort of a spar deck. It would be the main gun deck on the frigate. Once I put there should really be sort of like something like that way down into the hold from there, so that would be more akin to what you'd expect. So this has got a 485 mil, so these are the same as are in the frigates. So this is the equivalent of a 12-pounder, you know, just a little bit faster fire rate, slightly less armor piercing and kinetic and ammo. So we'll see how they fire. They should be about the same as the frigate, which was okay once I'd added that extra ammo box, which these all have got, and I think there's enough ammo in the lower deck. They've got they are one longer, so they are slightly longer and got definitely more armor piercing and kinetic, etc. So we've got 12 and 708, and this is 1400 and 1500, so a lot more explosive definitely on these, so they should have a boom. And this area here backwards would be the quarter deck and the aft castle, although this was the I think they ended up being the quarter deck. This whole area they stopped using aft castle, although it is the aft castle and the main quarters of the captain. It's also doesn't have the controls, steering, etc. up there, and we've got some simple 32 pounders here representing the 9 pounders that were installed, and the same on the forecastle. And we'll see if we can put something in there which is sort of resembling, and there will also be a couple of forward firing guns here as well, which should bring us up to just about a 74 gun complement. I think I've got 30 of these 571s, and then I've got 32 of these ones here, the 485s, and then the 32s with some on the front. Now I haven't got anything on the back. I think traditionally the rear ones here, because we can't do the slope that was on the original one, to give that bit of a bend at the front and the rear, which would have allowed one of these guns to fire forward, and I potentially think one of these to fire backwards. I may put a couple of 32 pounders just firing backwards, just to give us some sort of little minor sting in the tail, for want of a better word. So next stage though is to build the hull, the bottom. So we're going to take it down. We've gone up here. I want the waterline to be about this level, so we're going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I've got to go down 7 meters as well. So we're going to have 2 holds below. There will be a general hold, which will end up having the AI ammo and some steam to produce power for the Hearthstone and some propellers on the back. And then we'll have a lower deck, I can't remember the name of it. There was a special name for it. Anyway, it'll be where all the ballast will go, just to balance it up. So yeah, I'll be working on that next, and obviously the rear and the bow. So we'll just come back when it's, I think, just about ready for a paint job and a ability to batter some other characters. What size have we got at the moment? Our length is 64, which is a bit long. It's a little longer than traditional. Some of that is because I've done a gap of 3 here between these guns, where I could have narrowed that down to 2. I'm thinking about that now, whether I should reduce it, because I've gone to 60. I think the fact that the original one was about 55 meters and this is going to be end up around 70. It's a bit late now to change that. I think we'll have to go with it, and it will be a bit bigger than the original. As such, I miscalculated. I shouldn't have laid my initial gun deck down quite so large when I was calculating the guns, and I should have squeezed them into a 2 wide. But that being said, this looks nicer, so let's go with it. And after getting the sails up and running with a standard full rig, I've changed the rear mizzen mast to be this upside down triangular, which I think looks better than the first one I'd done on the frigate. It looks a little better. It's a pity I can't do a proper lantern mast, but that looks okay. It's giving suitable forward thrust when the wind's behind, and the front head mast is obviously giving forwards even when we're going into the wind. And I'm still using the sail block version in the centre, although it's not 100% working, as I don't think it works 100% as it should. It looks better and it sort of works. I just don't think it always gives as much power as the fixed ones. But as I say, that's more about looks, I think, than anything else. We have got some propellers on the back, but they only work come on if there is a combat, an enemy in range. I've set that up with a control block here. what else we got inside in the deck? We go down here. We've got our main area down into here. We've got some our main resource areas, and then going towards the back, we've got some ammo hidden away, and we do have, oh, that's the front. That's the front ammo. If we go towards the back, a bit more ammo, and then we do have a steam compressor, a battery system here. And which has some ACBs which basically turn on and off depending if the battery requires power. So that means it's only going to burn resources when the battery runs out. And a very small, simple steam engine just to give, steam compressor, just to give some power for the Hearthstone and the AI. And in the back here we have simple AI. This is the Captain Jones AI. We've got two AIs for this. We've got an ensign and the Captain John Paul and Ensign Barry. So this has got the standard from the depth sailing AI. So if I just go into there, from depth sailing, 10 and 15 degrees, just to try and stop it rolling too badly. It didn't need too much weight. Going down 7 meters, it wasn't too bad. Maneuvering, fairly standard stuff there. Adjustments set to be on water, zeros, and plenty of water depth, no reversing and no upwind, which means it should tack. And finally the behaviours, 600 meters I think will be sufficient for the cram cannons we've got on here, and fairly much we want to get fairly good broadside on this. So now I guess it is time to give it a bit of test. So I'm gonna first of all take out the other two ships, the Design Fort and the Rally. Let's just see where we are. We're sort of southwest, so we should turn around on the enemy. So first of all, let's we'll leave this on. We've got plenty of ammo, I think. Yeah, 4,800. We'll see if that needs any more without getting, at the moment it won't get any resources or ammo from the Design Fort. So it's only got the ammo that's on board, and at the moment I haven't put any ammo producers on this. This is purely going to have to see what it can do using native ammo production, because they will be changing the ammo system at some point. But I might put a couple of small producers on here, thinking about it. Let's do that now. I think that's only fair. We'll put a couple of small ones down in the hold here. Where are we? Just down here somewhere. Where should we put them? Maybe just in here on this ammo production here. Yeah, let's just put one there and one there, and same at the other side. Okay, so it will produce a little bit of ammo. That's fine. Resources on board can provide that. I think that's fair, because the new ammo system, the ammo barrels will hold, is it, I'm not sure if it's double or quadruple. Anyway, we'll leave it like that. I think it's reasonable. Let's give it a target, and I was corrected on one of the rates of ship that will be coming to us initially, but we'll give it a brig just to make sure that everything is going to actually fire on this. So we've got something behind us. It doesn't have any actual guns on the rear. I've left the rear as a, you know, basically a problem in some ways for it. It has got some guns on the front, but it's mainly a lot of broadside is its primary. Right, we're at 800, and we have got some of the guns. Oh, they're firing a bit more than 600. Is any of those going to hit though? Ooh, yeah, that's coming through at a fair old fire rate as well. That's definitely Dakar spam there. Not too bad. We'll see if it can contain that. Ammo is still reasonably high, so I'm not. That's good. We'll see when the other broadside is going to come in now. We'll see also how much it turns. not too bad on the roll. It has got some, again, the hydrofoils at the bottom acting on the keel, and oh, it's taking him out. Not bad. Yeah, that's quite good. Let's try it against something a bit bigger then. We'll let it just rearm, and let's go against the, because I haven't seen it, this 6th rate ship is the ship that would be coming on that first fleet against us. So we'll see how we do against that. Now again, it has got advanced cannons, and we're going to be using crams. What's the distance at the moment? 700. It's not trying to shoot 700. Let's see if at what range it will shoot. Oh yeah, just under 700. These are firing at about 630s. Okay, 600 was correct for my point to turn broadside. Hopefully the colour scheme looks quite good. We'll work on that possibly. I was trying to think of a better colour scheme. I like having lots of wood rather than all the coloured. And then use my fleet colours for the gun ports and top. Okay, that's coming in quite nicely against this ship. 5th rate. That's doing okay. A few bounces to be expected. But okay, it's got the fire rate advantage. Let's give it that much. I also want to check to make sure that the propellers, yes, the propellers have come to work. So they are going to keep it moving, even if it does go into the wind. The fire rate on those crams are, oh well, it's actually not too bad. It's done a certainly make up for the fact it hasn't got big guns. It's just got, they're doing a fire fast. As you can see, they're making their way. I'm not doing humongous amounts, but they are damaging it slowly. Just hopefully it can keep up. I can always take control of it if need be. Ammo seems to still be okay with just those couple of 4 producers I put on there. So yeah, that's okay. So that's the 74 gun USS America. Assuming it is USS, but the Continental Navy ship of the line America. Could make the guns more accurate if I reduce their firing arc, but I quite like the fact they're on a 45-degree firing arc. It just makes up for if it's not quite so keeping that broadside quite as neatly. And yeah, I think it's doing quite well. Let's just final test, I think. So final little test, let's give it a slightly higher rating. We'll go for the 4th rate ship of the line because we've not seen that now, and this will sort of give us the range of what this ship is good against, basically. Let's see how we do. Okay, we've got an initial firing has happened. Let's have a look at the, oh, just a little short. I did notice after the battle it took a little while for the ammo to replenish, and we've got a lot more guns on this particular ship. Still looks like a lot of APS guns, so it still could be problematic for us. Let's see if we can take out this level of ship. It will give us an idea of what we're going to have to be up against. We're going in with a lot of higher rate of fire, a lot of DACA, because DACA is good. There's nothing wrong with plenty of DACA. Let's see how we're doing with the roll. Yes, roll's not too bad considering how many guns are firing. There's obviously a lot of recoil absorber valves, but yeah, that's not doing too badly. Let's see, he's taken out the sails. Unfortunately, he doesn't rely on sails for motion. It has got propellers on the back, but otherwise he'd be now fairly motionless without any real sails to give them propulsion. That doesn't matter to me though. I will continue to blast away. Ammo is now finally going down, so ammo is now starting to get a little lower. It's going to be starting to have a problem keeping up, but that's done a... Let's see, it's down to 78%, and we've repaired all our damage. Yeah, I think that's okay. Fourth, it would give a couple of these in a line astern going against the target. I think that would be quite interesting. I think the sheer fire rate we've got running here, it's quite funny actually. So that's another good little looking ship there. If it had faster firing guns, you could, yeah, it would obviously just blast the crap out of my ship here, but it has got metal, so we are having to go through a fair bit of metal there actually. It's not a small amount, but we're taking the guns out on one side and continuing to fire. I can't see all these flames. It's like a flamethrower ship if it was any closer. How close are we? We're keeping it at about 500, that's okay. Could possibly do with going a little closer, but I think it's okay where it is. I think if I go closer, it's going to not start firing as early. So we'll leave it. It's working. Anyway, that's the USS America. For the campaign I will be starting soonish. I think I'm going to get at least one or two more ships ready as options in the campaign before I start it, just to get myself a bit of more experience and ideas for how to build ships and give myself some options in the campaign. Then I think I will start it. I know there are a whole load of changes going to be happening at with the campaign mode, etc. within From the Depths, but I'm guessing that's going to be a few weeks minimum at least, so I can at least get the first part of it started and get a feel for the campaign and see what people think. Other ships I had posted on an old place that I do want to do some more French ships and carry on with the normal campaign, but it's in a similar situation. There's two issues. One, the campaign overhaul, but also recently this HE bug. I want to build some ships that use missiles, frankly. Sort of heading towards a more modern style cruiser as well as an aircraft carrier, and the aircraft will use missiles, but I've just found that the missiles at the moment are anemic. They just are not doing very much damage, or even it's very system specific in that some ships, because of the HE bug, it actually does a lot of damage, and then other ships it hardly touches them because it will not go through the surface blocks. The surface blocks are effectively untouched. Anyway, that's I would like to carry on with doing some more modern ships because I do enjoy doing them, but I want to do it when the system's a little correct. But I may do them anyway, but I just have to adjust them a bit more once we have some fixes in place. As always, leave comments down below. Other ships, I know the other sailing ship is going to be the USS Constitution, sort of, or Independence. The large gunned frigate is another option. Maybe the Ironclad's Merrimack or Monitor, potentially, but I was going to leave them until a little bit later. Any other suggestions for Continental or early US Navy ships? Please leave a comment down below. But as always, keep playing the game and have fun.